Welcome to the SBT Energy Therapy podcast. You will be listening to Laura Lopez and Jamie O'Shea performing live energy healing sessions on guests. We believe the shares and wisdom in this episode will support you as well.
We're excited. Let's get started.
Welcome to the SBT Energy Therapy podcast. We're so glad you're here today. I am here with our co-founder, Laura Lopez, and we're going to be sharing with you why we do what we do and what we're doing here on this podcast. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Laura to start.
Thanks, Jamie. You know, when we started this, which I was super excited about, this idea of doing live energy healing sessions, it's just, I know for both of us, it lights our hearts up and we get super excited just about sharing this. And one of the things that I shared was growing up, there was a couple radio shows that I really loved listening to. One of them was Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Welcome to Dr. Laura Schlesinger. And she would have people come on the show and she'd give them marriage advice. And when I was younger, I used to read this article in one of the magazines as a teenager. I think her name was Miss Manners. And people would write in their problems and then they would write in letters to her and then they would send it in and she would reply in the magazine. And I really loved listening to that. And there's so many helping radio stations that I used to listen to that I really loved. And they really helped me. They really helped me to self-reflect in my own life. And I always had this desire to want to improve myself. And I would say from the ages of 1 to 35, I was just in this real deep self-reflection mode of how to be the best version of myself and how to be the best I could be and not repeat my childhood or, overcome all the things that I didn't want to be. And so as a result of that, of course, I read an incessant amount of books and I went to therapy and I did all the self-help things. And then that eventually led to plant medicine retreats and meditation and self-actualization, self-realization, and the path of enlightenment. And so I get excited to now be able to share that wisdom and that knowledge in these sessions. And this modality is just so cool. It's been life-changing on so many levels, not just for myself, obviously, but then we have a network of healers and practitioners. And so I think it's important that we talk a little bit about that, about what it is exactly that we're doing. So we say SBT, we should probably share that SBT means subtle body transmutation. So that's what that stands for. Your subtle body is your energy body. It is some people call it the auric field, but your energy body is essentially the blueprint of your physical body. So when we're doing this work, we're tapping into that subtle body. And transmutation is the form of taking low vibrational frequency energy and turning into high vibrational frequency energy. So SBT Energy Therapy. And those who want to find us can do that on the website, matchwithahealer.com. And I want to share a little bit about what all the tools are, right? What people can do with all this information and how to access us on many different levels depending on their stage of life. Jamie, do you want to share some of what you can do or what the roles are that you might find us in?
What the roles are you might find us in?
Yeah. Let's say that you want some healing, or let's say that you're a healer, or let's say that you're, a student, or
Oh, geez. There's so many ways, right? I just want to say that the reason we started this podcast, one of the hearts of the reason of starting this podcast is to be able to reach people that would like healing and need healing and want healing, but can't necessarily afford to sit and do this work with us consistently. And so Laura and I got excited about putting this podcast together because we were like, oh, we can give free healings to people. And the way to find us to be able to do that is going to the matchwithahealer.com, the website.
Yep.
And there is a contact form to be able to be our podcast guest. And this was the heart of us starting this podcast, not only just to bring awareness to what we do and to get to talk about the cool things that we geek out about all the time anyways, but to bring something free to people, knowing that, yes, we know that it's not a one and done situation and you can't, and I shouldn't say can't, but it takes more than one session to handle things that, say, a 40-something-year-old person is coming to us with. You've had 40 years of life experiences, and an hour and a half with us is not going to take care of everything, but it could. You could be on the precipice of a major breakthrough and wind up in the right place at the right time and feel a major shift, no doubt. But yes, we have SBT Energy Therapy, the matchwiththehealer.com. That's where you can get in touch with us. And you can also find a way to be certified and become a student and to start taking this on as part of your practice. And it's a great way to really help your friends, your family. You do practice clients when you do the certification course. And it's just so lovely to turn all your friends and family onto this if they've never even thought about energy in this way before, which I know I didn't. I never even considered the depth of energy and how it affects my life, other than I flip a switch and I get a light, right? Or I plug something into the wall and then I'm running a vacuum. But to think that I am absorbing other people's energy all day long was not even a concept that even came into my awareness until I started practicing this work. So, yeah, it's mind blowing to think of the ripple effect that I've been able to have by just opening conversation in my family and say, "Did you know that this happens to us? We didn't talk about this when we were kids."
Yeah.
And all those self-help books, I don't think those radio stations you're talking about listening to as a kid, I certainly don't think they had anything. I remember those, the Miss Manners, and then there was another one I used to listen to, it's like Delilah at Night or something on the radio station. I loved her. I'd always tune into her too. And yeah, and now look at us sitting here and we're taking it another step further, right?
Yeah.
We're actually tapping into what is happening with somebody that's unconscious to them and subconscious to them versus what those radio stations, they bring conscious issues forward, which is great.
Yeah.
That's great too.
That is great. As you were talking about your domino effect of the impact that you've had in people's lives. So I just want to share a little bit about you. When I met you, you weren't doing this work but you were a certified yoga teacher and hosting plant medicine retreats and doing other type of facilitations. One of the plant medicines we use is hape, and so you were helping to facilitate in hape ceremonies, and as well as you have a degree. Tell me what your degree's in again?
I have a bachelor's in business management. So
Yeah. So I had a lot of experience, but I remember this was like a totally new concept. And so I share that because likewise for me, I came from a corporate world. And although I would never
I love that we both came from dealership experience.
Oh
That's what's
yeah.
funny,
You're right.
right?
Yeah.
We didn't know that about each other. Laura comes from being a bigwig in the finance world with dealerships, you know?
20 years in the automotive industry in sales and corporate and finance. It's really mind blowing when I consider it now because if I were to be hanging out with all the people in my previous industry, I don't know, maybe they would expect it. I doubt it though. It's a completely different world. But it's fun
Yeah.
to think that anybody can do this. It's not like you and I were born with this magical gift of being able to tap into the subconscious, or we were and we didn't even know that we could do it.
Just had a consultation before getting on here where I was telling a client that same thing. We were all born with these abilities. It's just people don't talk about it. And then it gets shut down, you know? And I was telling her the story about how you and I met in Costa Rica. And you were like, by the way, have you ever heard of such and such? And I was like, no. And then I went home and Googled it and I was like, oh, missing piece, missing puzzle piece of everything I'd been looking for when I met you.
Yeah, let's talk about the such and such of where it started because my first introduction to energy work was The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson.
Hmm.
And I think I really want to give thanks to the foundation that he's laid for energy work. It truly does provide a phenomenal basis, like a baseline of just the slow introduction into energy work.
It
And
really feels like he's one of the pioneers,
I
when you
think,
say. I
yeah,
mean, when I try to describe this work, I don't know how to do it without bringing him up
yeah,
and being like, no, he really pioneered this 30 some odd years ago. And yeah, there's a lot of gratitude for that because I can't imagine what was it, early 2000s probably that he started pioneering this.
mhm,
Where would we be if he hadn't have taken that step?
I agree. I totally agree. And so for myself, it kind of opened up Pandora's box. And I remember being new to this work and having a flood of information energetically coming in and downloads. And as much as I loved the basics of emotion code and body code, it wasn't enough. And I ended up bringing, in many ways, more suffering than peace. And I was like, how it was almost like, where do I go from here? What do I do? And so this then led to the revelation of understanding things like limiting beliefs. And so when we launched the SBT Energy Therapy app, that came out before his new course, which is the belief code. And so there's some similarities between belief code and what we do in SBT Energy Therapy, although both created independently 100%. And I think that was the T3 model that he purchased from a previous creator and then made it into the belief code. But I remember when ours launched, including all of the limiting beliefs that we have available to have the subconscious identify. And I know we haven't said it yet, but anybody can go on into the App Store and Google Play and download the SBT Energy Therapy mobile app. Anybody can go in and learn the basics of muscle testing of how to tap into the subconscious mind for free. You can go in and utilize things like the levels of consciousness chart for free, the fail-safe chart for free. You can identify, and there's prayers in there that you can go in and read for free. So I really, when I created this, wanted the whole world to be able to access the ability to do this for free, the basics of it. And then if you want to learn more, you can go into the videos and watch it a la carte. Or, as Jamie was saying, you can go on and become a certified practitioner. And I really do want to put out the calling to have more certified practitioners. We need more. We have the network of healers right now. So when someone comes onto our website, because I'm so far booked out, and they fill out a profile at matchwiththehealer.com, I tap into their subconscious mind and I ask which of our healing practitioners in the network of healers is best matched with this person, which is so cool in my mind because before I had these tools, I suffered from Lyme disease and fibromyalgia and colonic inertia, irritable bowel syndrome, interstitial cystitis, so many chronic illnesses that I was plagued with for 37 years in chronic pain. And I can't tell you how many doctors and specialists I saw. If someone would have been able to say, you know what, Laura, let me just tap into your subconscious and see if it's best for you to go to the specialist or if this is a total waste of your time, I would have
been so much better.
Oh my gosh. If someone could have muscle tested all my supplements and my medications and the doctors, I would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars if they could have just matched me with the practitioner that was best for me. And in the end, as much as I love Western medicine, none of that ended up working anyways. It's not what I needed. So yeah, so we've got it. We've got everybody covered. We got the student, we have the person who needs healing direction, we've got the practitioner who wants to do this as a career. And yeah, I think anyone, and if you're just wanting to do it personally, individually yourself, anybody can learn how to do the basics.
Yeah, we were all given these skills and abilities. We just were never taught. So it is nice that Bradley Nelson was the pioneer in many ways, and that there are people like you and I, and I'm sure there's many others that are out there that are spreading the word because these are things we should have known. These are tools we should have had. It'd make life so much easier. And it's just like anything else. One person might say it one way and you don't hear it. And then another person might come along and say it a different way. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. And so I feel like it's really important we all have our place to be spreading the word about doing this work and teaching and helping and assisting and being there to support people. And this podcast is definitely designed for one way to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel that.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing about Pandora's box that you said, because I feel like I've had clients in consultations say, well, I don't want to open Pandora's box. Like by learning this, by tapping into their highest and best self, they're somehow going to open Pandora's box. I want to make 2 comments about that because my brother and I talk about Pandora's box in our retreats. And the story of Pandora's box is only half told. Okay. First of all, it's only half told. We're like, you're releasing all this horribleness and it's horrible all around you. And it's, how could I have opened this and how dare I? And so that's only part of the story. Only part of the story has been told. And I can't tell you verbatim the rest of the story, but I had a client consultation one time and she was like, well, I don't want to open Pandora's box. And in the same breath, she starts telling me how she realizes all this lower vibrational energy that's on her, that's in her home, that's coming home with her children. And I'm like, sounds to me like you're already in it.
It's knocking on your door.
So I said to her, I just want you to know that it's everywhere and you're already in it and you're already feeling it.
Yeah.
So you're not opening anything.
Wait.
Right?
You can't not. When it's ready, it's ready. You can't avoid it.
Right.
and you're just prolonging the inevitable. I mean, it's
Right. So my point to her was that we're all energy beings and we're all taking on energy, and our level of awareness, in our knowledge and intuition or skills, whatever you want to call it, that's going to decide where we're at and what we're privy to. Some people have no idea, right? Like skeptics. And you know this, Laura. I'm not a big fan of the skeptics. I'm not going to convince you that energy works.
I love
I'm
the
just
skeptic.
not.
Yeah.
I know.
But
Laura loves them. So if you're a skeptic, please reach out to her. If you are ready and you're on the precipice of opening up all the doors and you get it, please reach out to me because I don't want to convince you that your Wi-Fi works in your house. All right. I don't have the mental capacity for that. But I remember telling this woman, anyways, the Pandora's box. And as soon as I painted the picture to her of we're all energetic beings and we're all with each other and we're all swimming in each other's energy, anyways, whether you like it or not. And she was like, oh, right. But the point of me saying that is when you say opening Pandora's box, and I find this to be true after spending many hours with you, mentoring from you and learning from you. I find this to be true after doing many sessions on myself of trying to discover why I keep hitting the same loop or why I keep hitting the same pattern or why am I here again? At the bottom of that story, the end of the Pandora's box story, what they found in the bottom of the box was just love.
Mhm.
That's it. It was just love, which is at the end of this, right? No end. You just find love. And there's no end to that. And that's why I like that story. Because at the end of Pandora's box, the real story, they just found love at the bottom of the box once everything else was taken out. Much like when we do energy healing, when we work with clients, we lead them right back to their hearts where they find love.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I actually didn't.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a good story. I love it when my brother tells it because, my brother's an epic storyteller, but
Yeah, he is.
it's a good one.
Thanks for sharing that. Speaking of
Hmm.
stories, do you want to talk about the book?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, so for the book, we are co-authoring a book together called The Journey of a Thousand Souls. And it was a year and a half ago. I woke up with this title in my head and I was like, I don't know what this means and I don't know what this is for. I just woke up with the title in my mind. And then I got to talking to Laura and her and I kind of bounce off of each other, which you'll find out as you start listening to our podcast more and more how often we do that. But I got the idea for it and then I'm talking to her about it and it was like, oh yeah, we should write a book because when we do this energy healing together and we do this energy healing on clients, we're not just helping them. We're helping their ancestors, we're helping their children, we're helping their partners, helping is a strong word, assisting, supporting, loving. I like that word better. Those words are better. We are assisting and supporting generations to come by just doing energy healing on one person. So we've been writing a book about this journey of a thousand souls where we are getting it out there, like how this looks, what the process looks like and feels like. Because although Bradley Nelson put a lot out there, he really did. There's so much more to it than what's already out there. So we are contributing to the collective in a form of a book to let you know that when you decide to start doing the work on loving yourself more, you're going to hit certain road bumps that a lot of people hit. So we are working on painting that picture in this book of like, there are people just like you that are going to hit the same road bumps and you get to hear their story, not just ours. What else would you say about the book, Laura?
Oh man, I'm just super excited about the book. There's so many times that I'm in a session and someone's bringing up a struggle, and I'm like, we just finished that chapter, right? I can't wait for you to read this chapter. And so the book has real life practical tools. Well, first of all, let's back up and say that we reached out to a lot of the clients who found success in their journeys. And this includes people who've suffered from generational trauma to addiction, abuse, loss, physical sickness and illness, tragedy, suicide. I mean, you name it. And it's the journey of humanity, right? It's the journey of all the things that we suffer with here being on this earth. And these are people who have, we'll say that they're on the path of enlightenment. If not, I tread lightly with anyone saying they've achieved enlightenment, but I think genuinely that there are those of us who truly have achieved enlightenment. And when I say achieved it, what I mean is we've reached a place where 99% of the time or 95% of the time, we're just simply not triggered. We have this level of peace We have this level of essence of gratitude and excitement. And it doesn't mean that we don't experience the ebbs and flows of life, but there is this constant steady of this faith and peace that's there, that we are unshakable to our core. And so this is the interview of those people who have, we'll say, found themselves. They've been on this path of self-actualization, self-realization, and found enlightenment. And I think we can boldly claim that is what this work does, right? And so when we talk about enlightenment, this is also in the book, we talk about the making ourselves lighter. That is
Mhm.
it, to enlighten, right? And so we get these aha moments to where we're no longer traumatized by them, or we turn our trauma into wisdom. We have these tools where we don't take things personally, where we embrace the waves and the cycles of life and say, and we're able to recognize it. And the voice of the higher self is developed to the degree that the inner voice in our head is love, it's empathy, it's compassion, it is motivation, it's excitement, it's hope. And we get out of these cycles or loops or plaguing of self deprecation, self isolation, self sabotage, and toxicity in our lives. That we've found the way to remove these things through these tools and resources. And so the book is the one on one interviews and conversations with these individuals and ourselves, as well as the tools to incorporate on a day to day level of how to achieve that, including a chapter all about different types of healing modalities. One of the things I want to say is this is not a sales book for SBT Energy Therapy, although we're huge fans of it. We're huge fans of any healing modality that works. And one of the things we always say, it's never going to be one thing that heals you. It's never going to
Yeah.
be that, you know, that
You
one
have a
doctor.
team,
Yeah.
right? You have a team and you learn all the modalities. The book is really more, at least I think, more about it's almost the book's What to Expect When You're Expecting.
Yeah. Like
It
that.
reminds me of that, right? What to expect when you've decided to level up your personal game on yourself, right? What to expect when you are going to do the work.
Yeah.
Like what to expect. That's what this book reminds me of. It's definitely not geared just towards SBT energy therapy, but you will hear a lot about us in there because we're the ones writing it.
Yeah.
And we believe so heavily in what we do. I wouldn't be sitting here talking about something I didn't believe in. So,
True.
yeah.
So we're in the editing process. For those who are listening, we're in the editing process. The final stages, the manuscript's done, going through the editing and then publishing. So we hope and anticipate to have that launched and available for download or sale, I would say within the next 3 to 6 months. What would you say?
Yeah, sure. We'll
Sure.
just manifest it, make it happen.
Oh,
Right?
why not?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Well, thanks for having this conversation with me,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we got on here today to do this. A part of us getting on here for those of you listening was just we just started this podcast and we're just getting rolling and we want people to understand who we are and why we care about doing this and what brought us to do this podcast. So although we realize that, these things that we are doing with people, it's not a one and done. It's
Mm-mm.
just to bring awareness. It's just another podcast in the way of energy healing to let people know that you're not alone. And these are very common topics that people come across. And I don't know that there's an energy healing podcast out there that's quite like this. So we really want to bring that to the public.
Yeah. As we're talking about that, I do want to talk a little bit about belief systems here, right? I hope and pray and intend in every one of our podcasts that we never sound preachy or trying to convert anybody, that we really truly honor each individual's past and their own spiritual belief and how they refer to their higher power. And so I'm going to just apologize in advance for anyone that I maybe ever offend or rub wrong. I'm sorry. That is never my intention. And I come from all of the love and respect for each person's belief and wherever they're at, no matter what they call their higher power, even if they don't believe in a higher power, I respect that and am never trying to convert anyone to my beliefs. So I want to put that little disclaimer. I'm sorry
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah. I didn't know that I even had a belief in a higher power when I started doing this work. Laura was the one that pointed it out to me. And she goes, "Do you know that you believe in a higher power?" And I said, I don't have time for this. We were doing something else. We were right in the middle of something else. And I was like, I don't really have time to have this conversation. Can you just do what I need you to do? That has nothing to do with my higher power. And she's like, okay, sure. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Your subconscious says you believe in a higher power. So yes, for those of you listening, it is never my intention either. For what it's worth, I come from a non-religious background. I had to search for my own spirituality and beliefs in my 20s. And I feel like it's your own personal journey. Whoever you choose as your higher power and whatever you choose to call it is a very personal thing. And I have no right trying to influence that. And I do not. So I'm
Yeah.
with you on that one.
Thanks for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there trying to think of anything else that's important? The network of healers that we have. So for those that go to the website matchwiththehealer.com, they're not just SBT Energy Therapy certified. We have certified death doulas. We have individuals who are certified human design reasoners. We have individuals who are really proficient in the courts of heaven, which you hear in our sessions. There's all kinds of additional healing modalities within and among the network of healers. And so I get sometimes a lot of clients that are, they hear great things about me or great things about you. And they are like, no, I want to work with this one person. And for those of you, and yet we might be booked out for 60 days. And so for those of you who may think that or feel adamant about working with one person, we honor that. But just know that your spirit, your subconscious knows who's best for you. And when you allow us to match you with a healing practitioner, your spirit knows what that other person does and how they do it. And so I invite you to trust the process if you're looking to book a session directly with one of the healing practitioners who you're matched with. You're matched with that person for a reason. Doesn't mean that you can't ever switch. We share clients often because of our different skills. So someone might start with me and then they'll go to someone else for a chakra desludging, or they'll test our doshas for us and identify what foods keep us in alignment, what yoga postures keep us in alignment. And that's a really cool experience to go through that. So I just wanted to mention that we have a lot of tools in our tool belts for those who are listening and want to be matched with a practitioner.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I think for the listeners that are here, just know that most of our episodes will be with guests, and we will be doing some topics that are applicable to all of us at one stage or another in our lives. But every once in a while, we're going to do an episode like this where we just talk about something that's important or relevant that's happening out there in the world. So we hope that you stay tuned for all of it and subscribe, like, give feedback, do all the cool things that we do nowadays in this technologically advanced world. We look forward to hearing from you.
Talk to you guys soon. We thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, we invite you to please go on and leave a review and share this with someone who you think it may have resonated with. And if you want to be a guest on our podcast, just go to matchwithahealer.com. Under contact, you'll see a Be Our Podcast guest form. Submit that and we'll reach out to you.